An ancient evil awakens, and only Bruce Wayne can save 1920s Gotham City. It's Batman Doom that came to Gotham. That's what we're talking about in this episode of Legends of Podcasting. Now, joining me in the Wave Rider, we have
Stuart,
Rob,
and I'm Liam. All right, guys, there's no Ross with us this week, but hopefully we'll get Ross back soon. Mm-hmm. So either ways, let's jump into it. So this is the newest DC animated movie that we've got coming out, and this is an Elseworld story based on the comic series. Now, when we start off, Rob, you actually read the comics. You own the comics, right?
I do. I couldn't find them in my long box of The Damned because it's buried under about 14 stacks of comics. So I've got to try and find it. But yeah, I went through a small phase back in 2005, 2006, just finding Elseworld stories. And you'd be surprised of how many of those are actually Batman related. But yeah. So,
I think he's
a good character. He's a good character to do it with, right?
Omnibuses of specifically Batman Elseworlds, on the shelf somewhere.
It's probably in there somewhere. So yeah. But the main thing that drew it to me was because it was written by Mike Mignola, who did all the Hellboy stuff, which is so it's going to be leaning down that really dark gothic sort of Lovecraftian stuff, which is how much of that's.
So, why don't you fill us in? So what's the deal with this story? What is the story arc we got here?
So you've got a Bruce early in his career, as far as I can remember, because it's been a while since I read the comics, so maybe they've changed it up a bit for the animated series. And he's investigating some stuff that's going down in Gotham City, maybe involving some of the new villains who've surfaced. They look a bit like the regular Gotham City, until some Lovecraftian cults get involved, and you start seeing Doom from beyond the stars and Cthulhu and all this kind of nonsense happening. It's just, how can one man, who's just a man in a bat costume, possibly save Gotham from, eldritch gods?
You know how? I know how.
Yeah.
I know how.
Yeah,
because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman.
All right, so I haven't actually read this comic series, and I don't think you have either, Stuart, right?
No, I haven't. But I enjoyed the previous sort of 1920s Batman movie they did, Gotham by Gaslight, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like the same. It looks like their new art style that they're kind of doing with all the recent movies, but with the same costume from the 1920s. I don't know if it's a follow-on or it's just set in the same era.
That's a good question, actually. It might make sense to follow it on from that film, given they've already set it in that period.
So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to find, because I've never really been into I like Elseworld stories and what if stories, something like Injustice or something. But when it's old school 1920s, and I'm just is that Batman? It's not really Batman to me. But Gotham by Gaslight, I really enjoyed. It was a proper detective story, really interesting, a new take. So a sort of the few things that have come out that have been like that, I've actually been you know what, I'll give it a go, and I've actually really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to this one. It's some interesting people in it. It looks like it's got Etrigan, looks like he's in it.
Etrigan,
I'm assuming looks like a Lazarus Pit, so Raish and Talia must be in there somewhere. I assume Gordon's I've got to be in there somewhere as well. I think we see him for a second in the trailer, and obviously Alfred. But yeah, other than that, it's going to be interesting to see. The trailer sort of portrays it as Batman has to die to become savior he needs. So I'm guessing that's Raish saying that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Did look like he was plunging into the Lazarus Pit. So
Stuart and I, so for our listeners and viewers, Stuart and I literally just watched the trailer for the first time just before we started recording this. It's very fresh in our minds right now. We saw Batman falling into some kind of liquid, and a voice saying, you need to die in order to become Gotham's savior. Which, the only conclusion I can think there is it's the Lazarus Pit, and that must be Ra's al Ghul. I still call him Ra's al Ghul.
No. I call him Raish. Whatever you feel like.
What's that thing?
I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious who the knight is, because when I was first watching it, I thought the knight you sort of see in the church with the sword.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're bringing Azrael into this as well, but it looks like he's just a knight.
No, it's Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen?
Yeah, there's Green Arrow in this as well. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why he's got a bow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he's sort of like a Templar, sort of like last son of a house kind of thing in this, and they're trying to.
That's cool.
It's like.
I quite like that. That's quite cool.
So whether
he does have a goatee, so I should probably guess that.
I'm struggling to remember the damn comic. Whether he and Bruce are in that, I don't remember if he's in the comic now as well. whether they know each other in this or not, I don't know. It'd be quite cool to find out.
You imagine that early life, isn't it? So I'm assuming that.
You imagine sort of like 1920s, like New York billionaire playboys compared to what we know the modern stuff from DC Gotham. So it's like, yeah, how that would work in a social society.
Yeah, it makes sense. Two playboys, teamed up. So it is an interesting team, and they have of characters here, where it is Batman, Green Arrow, and Etrigan. Like they're the only three, or are there more that we picked up on it? Possibly Ra's al Ghul, but who else?
Well, the cast list on Wikipedia's got a fair few of Batman's Rogues Gallery showing up in it, which I don't think are in the comic. So they might just be sort of padding it out a bit to have a reason for him to be out as Batman in Gotham early on. So
it makes sense.
So yeah, I just loaded up the IMDb. So we have Dick Grayson is also in it, Harvey Dent, James Gordon, Talia al Ghul, Lucius Fox, Alfred, Ra's al Ghul, Thomas Wayne, Cobblepot. Oh yeah, we did see a very clear Penguin in that.
So who's the young girl? Is that going to be Talia?
Maybe that's Talia.
Or is that going to be Dick Grayson, just with a weird haircut?
There is also a character, Kaylee Kane.
Oh, maybe that's her. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I've always liked those sort of stories that bring more of the weirder side of DC into it. So like Etrigan and all the magical users. So hopefully we'll get a bit of that in here as well.
The thing I love about Elseworlds and like Wife Stories is people you can go to town with it and do whatever you want and not have to worry about continuing that on in like a monthly series.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they just do a great story where they can just be like, then this happens and then this person's going to die or this person gets crazy powers or this happens and then no repercussions. So it's absolutely fine.
So that's a topic for another podcast. If I can dig out that comic book, I'll see what other Elseworlds I've got knocking around, and we can just go through some of the crazier concepts. I swear there was one where Batman's a cowboy in the Wild West, and he's literally wearing his bat suit in the Wild West while shooting people.
Isn't that? I think I remember that. Isn't that when he gets killed off by? Well, they think he gets killed off by Darkseid. But he gets sent through time.
Possibly.
He's like a pirate in one.
Oh, that's the RIP one. That's when he died. He was killed during the Final Crisis. But this is an actual Elseworlds one.
Maybe that's not him as a cowboy, no? Okay.
It could be. I might be getting confused. I think
I remember him as a pirate. That was a cool comic book.
I see Liam holding the one where what would happen if you gave Batman a Green Lantern powering?
Yes, that was Green Lantern. Batman is one of the stories in here.
It's a great story.
It's a ton of interesting stories. Oh, hang on, is this?
Oh, have you got it in there?
I might have.
Doing it live.
No. Batman Houdini. He's dressed very similar to the big collar, the old jacket, and that. I saw that, and for a moment I was like, "Oh shit! Do I have this actual story?" No. It's been a while since I read this.
Yes, man. I mean, you also got. I know we could probably do another podcast, but there's also the new Supergirl, or Legion of Superheroes one's coming out in like a few days as well. So looking forward to that.
Oh, the animated, yeah.
Yes.
I think I've seen. Is that a trailer out for that yet? Or
Oh yeah, it was a trailer a while ago. It's I think it's out on digitally on the beginning of February, so it's out before this one.
Because this is when's the release date for this?
Supergirl going to the future to meet the Legion of Superheroes.
Huh. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So this is.
I always enjoy those kind of stories anyway.
So this is coming straight to Blu-ray/DVD in March. Am I looking at that right?
Nice.
So March 28th, straight to Blu-ray. So
they usually do digital release a couple of weeks earlier.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool if we ever get they ever put some of these out in the cinema. Would be I'd pay to go and see it.
I do as well.
Yeah, they're definitely worthy of the big screen.
Yeah, they have a great. The sort of since they did that, was it Apocalypse War when they sort of rebooted the universe? All the ones since then have been pretty good movies. They all had a very similar art style. So yeah, any of those are worthy of cinema.
So it's like where this fits in with their new plan in the James Gunn verse. I
I think this is probably already done, and it was like
I mean, animated movies take years to get completed, so this was well in the works before he came on board. So
fucked it all up. I mean, doing a really good job.
I think that his impact's going to be seen after this. I'm sure there's still going to be some more animated movies that are currently in production that were before him, and because of the amount of time and money that goes into that, I doubt that we won't see them. So I think it's going to be a few years before you start to see what James Gunn's impact is going to be on the animated universe. But I don't know, I feel like DC's animated movies have been pretty damn good. So really, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The only thing
they've got. If you start from the beginning, they've got. I could dread to think how many movies they've actually done now. There's a
lot. I'm looking at the list now. The next one to come out is Justice League Warworld, which is scheduled for summer 2023, and that takes place in the same universe as Long Halloween and Green Lantern Beware My Power, apparently. So
nice.
But then after that, it's just got a big question mark, because that's obviously where James Gunn or Warner Brothers have come in and just said stop production, and we'll go from there. So
that's a whole nother podcast.
Every day there's more stuff coming out about that just makes me go, what? There's a whole.
There's new stuff, and there's also misinformation. There's a whole bunch of fake news that's being posted about it as well.
It's fake news.
And bullshit opinion articles that have been posted as if they're fact. So
that's just social media, man. What are you talking about? That's just genuine.
Yeah, I've seen your Facebook account, Liam.
That's literally every article I sort of pops up on my feed now is just like clickbait, and it's got like a line that's taken out of context that someone's just written a whole article about, which makes no sense. And all the comments are like, "Yeah, fuck them." Rah, rah, rah. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's
got a very toxic place.
Yeah, it's stupid. But
anyway, back to Batman.
Yes, back to Batman.
I mean, what can we say? It's looking forward to it. I will try and dig out the Elseworlds. We can probably do a podcast on that if you guys want to talk about random Batman stuff that they pulled out. Have a look at the list.
Always have to talk about Batman, even if it's random. I'm quite curious. I always think with these movies, like, do you ever think before you watch it, you're like, right, I'm going to read the comic first so I remember everything, and watch it, or do you want to watch it and then read the comic book and be like, oh yeah, that's different?
I say it differs for me. Sometimes, like, if I know that it's come in and I've got time, I'm like, I'm going to read all of the comics and all the tie-ins and whatnot ahead of this, and that'll be the case for TV episodes of TV shows as well, and movies. I'm like, oh, I'm going to read or reread the comics, and but then sometimes if I know that I ain't never going to have time, then I'll watch it first and then do the reading afterwards. It really just depends.
I mean, or you run the risk of doing a Batman hush if you're not careful and rereading the comic book in anticipation of the film being really good, and they just change the plot halfway through.
I've watched that film a couple more times recently. It's not as now when you know it's not going to be what you think, what you expect. It's not as bad, but it's still not the same.
Just like with the Flash movie coming out, it might be based loosely on Flashpoint Paradox, but there ain't no damn point in rereading that because it's going to be so loose in its.
I very much. If they recorded Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa fighting each other, like, because half the world's flooded and having a big old war, that would be amazing. But I'm not expecting to see.
Yeah,
that would be awesome if they really have done that, and we've got the Amazons against the Atlanteans.
Yeah,
that would be so cool. So cool to see that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to reread those comics before, but I mean, we've already read those comics and watched the animated movies, so we know that story well, so we don't need to reread it right now.
Exactly, and I hope people, if that film ever gets released, I hope people don't go into it being like, well, I know exactly what I'm going to expect in this film, so I read the comic, so it ain't going to be that.
Yeah. Well,
so keeping the topic on Batman then, that TV series Gotham Knights, which wasn't cancelled and was instead just delayed, that comes out in supposedly the beginning part of this year, so it's meant to appear within the next couple of months.
It's coming out at the same time as Flash, because it's going to be Flash, then that show straight after.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they want people to be able to go, good show, bad show.
I mean, the Flash hasn't been good for a while, but it's the final season.
Final season, they pull out all the stops, and because this is marking the end of the Arrowverse, it's the last of the Arrowverse shows. I'm hoping that this is like an epic finale for the entire franchise.
Have you heard he's already confirmed to come back?
I know one.
Queen.
What? Yeah, I've heard.
Stephen Amell. I know him.
Yeah,
I know Stephen Amell. David Ramsey is Diggle.
Mm-hmm. Are they gonna give us the Green Lantern in this?
I mean, the picture I saw, no.
Oh, for God's sake, guys!
Wally's back as well. It's Flash.
So it's the end of this entire universe. So we ain't getting no more. Give us Green Lantern. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah.
Is that show, putting on the ring, appearing in the gear, fly off.
I don't know. Is the Green Lantern show even still happening that they've been teasing for years?
Again, I can't.
We would have had it by now.
I can't tell you, because obviously we were saying earlier about fake news and clickbait. But the last I saw that may have been true was that they were reworking it to be more about the more popular lanterns than the ones they had in the show.
What are you trying to say? Guy Gardner's not popular?
I like Guy Gardner. I've always found him to be a fun one, but he is by no means a popular Green Lantern.
No depth, man. No depth. You need Carl Rayner.
Yeah, it's
Carl Rayner. That is the lantern you go for.
Carl Rayner, awesome. But John Stewart makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Always has made the most sense to make him the main one.
David Ramsey to carry on being Diggle or John Stewart, right? That would make the most sense. But no, Carl. I mean, I've always enjoyed Carl, but Carl Rayner, just from his origin and story point of view, he'd just be such a cool character to do.
I think that Green Lantern show the Green Lantern Corps show is just gonna quietly die a death, and we're not gonna hear about it. Same as the Metropolis show. That was something they were talking about a whole bunch, and then you heard nothing about it for ages. And then I eventually, at some point, I was trying to find some news on it and found out, no, it was quietly cancelled. I think especially we know that the show hasn't gone into production yet, the Green Lantern show, because we would have heard more about it if it was in production. I think it's with James Gunn now in, I think it's one of those things where it's just like, no, let's stop everything and start from scratch with the whole lot, because he wants to do a connected everything universe, doesn't he? Movies and TV. He wants everything all connected.
Because they haven't really got just the movies to work. He wants to go. We haven't got that to work. Well, let's go even more hardcore and try and get even more.
The interconnected movies didn't work. Let's make everything connected.
They make it really not work. And then he's high-fiving Kevin Feige in the background, being like, fucked him up. Don't get it proper, man.
So I took all this paycheck from DC. Now I've got Guardians 4 coming out on the horizon.
I think I've said this before, but I really think any DC things that are being done should be created as an independent thing that could cross over in the future, but just keep it on its own. Because they don't have to all be reliant on each other. It's kind of annoying at a point when, in order to watch one movie, you have to have seen all these other movies that came before it. Like what reached the point at with the Marvel universe is, if you really wanted to be able to understand the story of a new movie, you really had to have seen a lot of the ones beforehand. Then again, I'm also like this with comics. When there's a comic book event I want to read, I'm like, well, in order to understand this, there were certain story arcs before this that were relevant. You need to read those before you can fully appreciate the story. So I think that with what they're doing with the DC rebooting it all, I really hope that each thing is kept as its own thing, not reliant on another one, but made in a way that you could still do a Justice League or Justice Society or something event movie at a point which will cross over everyone, organically, but without them all being reliant on each other.
I totally agree with that. Like, speaking to people that aren't into comic books and stuff, like at work and things, they're like, oh yeah, so I want to try and get into like the Marvel stuff. So where should I start? And I'm like, the beginning, man. Like you can't just cut in halfway or like near the end.
Go back to the 60s and pick up X-Men #1, and
exactly.
then and I'll speak to you in about 4 years.
Goddamn movie. And I think they're gonna. I think Marvel. I know they've got this plan for the next few years, but I think after that, I would highly think that maybe they should be like, you know what, maybe we should stop and then start again of like doing I don't know, like X-Men are hopefully coming to somewhere. Just do an X-Men movie, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything else. It can't, like you said, it can do. Like they can meet Tom Holland, Spider-Man. They can go and meet Thor if he's still around or whatever. But for the first couple of movies, just keep them by themselves so people can. The young next generation, like my daughter's going to get into it soon. I'm not going to be like, well, if you want to watch this new movie that's coming out, we need to watch 30 other movies and load TV shows to be able to, if you don't understand it. Like she ain't going to do that. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's perfectly okay for Disney to understand that they can be happy with most of the money. They don't need all of the money. So
they need
back
all
it
the
off
money.
a bit.
I'm surprised they haven't bought Warner Brothers yet.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so
stuff. I miss doing these podcasts. We should do them more often.
Yeah.
New Year's resolution. We will do one all the time.
That's what I think. Yeah. All right.
Damn straight.
We can just waffle.
In fact, we're going live 24/7. Don't change that dial.
It's going to be like Legends of Podcasting reality show.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the legends. That's great. Love it.
Watch as we sleep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. I think you should probably wrap it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for everyone listening, if you're listening to the audio podcast version, remember to click that subscribe button wherever you found this episode. We are also available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you find podcasts, you can find Legends of Podcasting. But there's also the video version of this, which if you're on YouTube, you're watching the video version right now. Hi. If you listen to the audio one, you're going to head over to YouTube and find our channel, Legends of Podcasting. You can subscribe to the channel there and also leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on this upcoming Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham animated movie. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it sucks? Do you like the DC animated movies? Which one of us do you think is the coolest?
Most like Batman?
Most like Batman, yeah. Which one of us is most like Batman?
Well, only one of us isn't here right now, so he could be out defending the streets.
There you go. He's in the shadows.
Yeah.
So yeah, click that subscribe button. But otherwise, that's all from me.
It's all from me.
That's it from me.
No.